Hey guys, welcome back to the BuzWeaver channel. And in our top stories today from the Daily Caller, Rook. If reporters ignore reality, of course, we can't trust them to report on it. And of course, that's no mystery here to anyone here on the BuzWeaver channel. If you're new here, welcome. And basically what we do here on the BuzWeaver channel is we take the difficult, we take the tumult, the chaos and confusion that often is reported by the extension of the Democrats, that would be the mainstream media, and we try to simplify it down. And many of you probably already know what's going on, but this is a classic example of this, as we see here from the Daily Caller. President Donald Trump's press secretary, Karoline Leavitt, reportedly refused to respond to New York Times reporters who include their preferred pronouns in their email signatures. Leavitt said it's a Trump administration policy to ignore questions from reporters who deny biological reality. As a matter of policy, we do not respond to reporters with pronouns in their bios, Leavitt told the New York Times' Michael Grinbaum in an email. Any reporter who chooses to put their preferred pronouns in their bio clearly does not care about biological reality or truth, and therefore cannot be trusted to write an honest story. So this is the criteria that they're outlining, and this is no mystery to anybody here on the BuzWeaver channel. As you know, we take the difficult and the confusion, because the media always has its own agenda. They are a business, and at the end of the day, they have to get eyes on their product. So they will do these sorts of things, change their names in the bios, or have the media or whomever try to address them or identify them in a particular way, which 𝐀𝐦𝐚𝐳𝐬𝐿 𝐀𝐟𝐟𝐢𝐥𝐢𝐚 Jean Pierre due to anybody, because they weren't testing it then. But everything else is a challenge to Trump. Everything is about the resistance of the Trump administration, and any opportunity they can get, whether it's something in their bio or whether it's in their behavior when they ask the questions that they ask that usually aren't questions. They're usually statements in the form of a question, but they will do it. So as we read through the AP's story on itself, be very mindful of the language. AP wins reinstatement to White House events after judge rules government can't bar its journalist, which is not exactly what is actually happening. A federal judge ordered the White House on Tuesday to restore the Associated Press full access to cover presidential events, affirming on First Amendment grounds that the government cannot punish the news organizations for the content of its speech. Now, keep in mind what they're trying to do here. They're trying to suggest that they're being denied the ability, or they're being denied their speech, but they aren't being denied to report on stories, which is what they don't tell you. And the fact that if these journalists are there's more than one, as you saw here. It isn't just the AP, so it's not journalism or reporters as a whole that are being barred, but specific individuals, which can be addressed based upon that individual's actions and what they are doing. So just be mindful of that also. U.S. District Judge Trevor N. McFadden, an appointee of President Donald Trump, ruled that the government cannot retaliate against the AP's decision not to follow the president's executive orders to rename the Gulf of Mexico. The decision, while a preliminary injunction, handed the AP a major victory at the time of the White House has been challenging the press on several levels. Now, you see how they shifted the topic from either something being in the bio or because of the Gulf of Mexico or the Gulf of America. So they're constantly shifting the goalpost here. And of course, they had to mention that it was a President Trump appointee that was there. But the point being is that to access these areas, it is a privilege. They are given this ability to do that. There are areas that are made available to the press that aren't as intimate as, say, the White House press briefing room or Air Force One. And these areas we're going to talk about here in just a moment. But it's interesting, is it not, the way they're trying to frame the wording, as though Donald Trump were in violation of the First Amendment, as it were. And how in the world is this judge going to enforce it? What are they going to do? They're going to send a posse of court officers over to the White House and arrest Donald Trump? It's absolutely absurd. And here we're going to break it all down for you right here in this interview with Karoline Leavitt.
Most of the mainstream legacy media, they were wrong on Pfizer. They were wrong on Russia. They were wrong on the case of New York. They were wrong on pretty much everything involving Donald Trump. And they never corrected themselves, did they?
Mm-hmm. They never did, Sean, and the winning continues here at the White House every day. Today, a federal judge right here in Washington, D.C., denied the Associated Press's emergency request for a temporary restraining order to restore their privilege of returning to the White House press pool. And the judge's denial of the Associated Press's request reinforces what I said from the podium last week and what President Trump has been saying. Covering the American presidency in the most intimate and limited spaces in this White House, in the Oval Office, on the Air Force One, is a privilege. It is not a legal right. And we want all voices to have that opportunity. And that's why we've expanded the James S. Brady briefing room to invite truly legitimate, independent journalists, podcasters, and other media types into that room to cover this president with honesty and accuracy and with real mindfulness of what the American people actually care about.
That's right. So they're not there to be lectured by the journalists or the reporters or activist journalists and reporters, as we saw many times when it came to certain individuals with CNN and other organizations who try to make the story about themselves. Instead of going there and asking genuine questions and presenting themselves in a genuine manner, they have to go there and be the resistance, right? They have to be part of the left. They have to show their disdain and their contempt for Donald Trump. And just like with many of these other judges, and not this one in particular, the obstruction that's going on, and we've seen recently the bill that passed in the House, that the rogue bill that will limit the ability of these federal judges to do what they're doing, which is legal challenges or timeouts. They're just legal timeouts for the law to be reviewed. They aren't trying to solve a legal problem or come up with a solution to a legal conundrum. They are, in fact, just obstructing Donald Trump. And the fact when it comes to the honesty of the media, of course, they're not really under any obligation to be honest to anyone because there is no oversight committee. There is no board. There is no one that they have to respond to. There should be something that the media should respond to. They're supposed to respond to the people, but the people usually just go about ignoring them instead of holding them accountable. The Trump campaign website, however, touts of all of its official hats as being proudly made in USA. And reports filed with the Federal Election Commission show the campaign regularly pays 2 companies in the U.S. for the production and distribution of its hats. Now, I should have led this by saying during the tariffs that are now out there right now, the reciprocal tariffs, there were a lot of jokes about MAGA hats being made in China. Well, the knockoff hats are made in China. But the way the media reported it is they never tell you the other side of the story, which is why I picked this particularly, because I saw this going around. I even saw this on my Facebook from a classmate friend of mine when someone made a post about the hats, and then he had a comment about the fact that they're made in China, which is not correct. The knockoff hats are made in China, but the genuine Make America Great Again hats are made in the USA. Now, of course, they probably don't mention the company here because of obviously, well, this is actually from factcheck.org. So anyone could have just gone simply on and done a Google check, which most people don't do. But this is the concern with the media is they can't be trusted. They don't have to tell you the truth. They're not obligated to tell you the truth. As a matter of fact, it's their First Amendment right not to tell you the truth. Now, I'm not saying that they intentionally and willfully go out and lie sometimes, but they do put themselves in certain situations. As we saw, ABC News was sued for defamation by Donald Trump because of what they said and what Stephanopoulos said, George Stephanopoulos. They were sued for $16 million for defaming Donald Trump. So they know the wording. They have their own insurance companies. They have their own private insurance companies and legal experts that monitor what they do. So there isn't anything spontaneous you see in the media outside of the rogue activist judges or rogue activist reporters that are out there trying to, make things difficult. But the point being here is that Karoline Leavitt and the administration wants to be covered in the reality and in truth that it actually is. You know, you can complain about certain things that Donald Trump has done. He's not perfect. We don't elect saints in the United States as presidents. So there's going to be those elements to it. But the fact that they're trying to make a big deal out of this is absurd. And of course, we just saw that the Rogue Bill Act of the House was passed in the House to keep federal judges from continuing this obstruction and legal timeouts that they keep doing against Donald Trump because it's just absurd. It's all a tactic. It's all performative by the Democrats who lost. If they hadn't focused all their attention on just progressives and finding ways to hijack our culture, finding ways to hijack our institutions, and finding ways to hijack our justice system, they might have been able to make a little bit of a dent in the election, but they couldn't do it because that's not what they're about. They're about promoting their ideology, their philosophy, and worldview. And that's a big problem for the Democrats. And if they keep playing this game, they're going to lose again big time in 2026. But I want to thank all of you guys across New Tech, that's BitChute, Rumble, and Odyssey, for your guys' continued support. And, of course, those watching on TikTok as well. You guys have all been amazing. And, of course, everyone here on YouTube for your guys' continued support. I welcome your thoughts and opinions down in the comments section. And, of course, down below there, you can also find the various social media links that I belong to, including my affiliate marketing. And appearing there on the screen for all of you watching on YouTube, that would be the channel icon. You guys can click on that to subscribe, as well as to select notifications. That way you know when there's content here on the channel, and I'll see all you guys in the Friday vlog tomorrow.